guys, so today we are starting our first About Me page. I'm going to take you through it step by step a little bit here. So you're going to create a new document, and you want to make sure that you have 6 columns and that we are starting with a letter, and we want it to have a vertical orientation. So you should get a page that looks like this. Pay attention to these 6 columns. We're actually going to use them today. They do matter. The first thing that you need to do is stretch your name all the way across. So you'll type in your name, and then make it bigger. You can click. This is obviously going to take a while, or I can type in some numbers until I get to where I want it. If you want it to be in all caps, you have that option here. Don't forget about your tracking that you can mess with. You can also change the font to whatever you like. Today, when you're designing, try and keep it to, let's say, 2 fonts on your page. Like something that a lot of new designers might do that isn't great is use a ton of fonts, and that can be really distracting to your reader. So just make sure you're using maybe 2 fonts. I'm going to do Century Gothic and Baskerville today. So we always want to make sure we're keeping our frames like tight to the content, and so you could drag it like I just did, or you can double click over here. Remember that double click will pull it in. And I want to go all the way to my edge here, so I'm not all the way there. I'm going to hold down Shift and Command and then pull my corner until it touches the edge. Perfect. Okay, and then you guys are also placing some of the photos that you should have downloaded on here today. You have some options there. You can always do File Place, and then that'll pull up a photo. What's easier is if you just press Command D, and that'll give you some options. So let's see, something, no, that's marked getting dressed for our wedding. Here, I'll just pull in an ink drop as an example. So once you Command D and you pick your photo, it's going to look like this. You can click and drag however big you want your photo to be. We're trying to stay, oops, hold on. I want that to go all the way to that column. We're trying to stay within these columns today. So your goal is to design within these columns. If you look at my finished example here, you can see that this one, this little, we call it a mod, this mod takes up 2 columns. 1, 2, it ends right on that purple line, right? 2 columns. This mod takes up 4, 3, 4, right? You see that? 4 clean columns. And then my top mod goes across all 6. So remember, when we use different columns, it can help like differentiate the different stories being told. So if you look at this, it's really easy to follow. So we're using the columns today. You need to stay within the columns for each of your mods. So what you need to do today is come up with the 3 or 4 different sections that you want to talk about. So I talked about how I'm an advisor, I talked about my family, I talked about my company. You can talk about whatever you want. You can talk about any clubs you're involved in. Maybe you have a photo that has a really strong memory and you want to talk about that memory. That's cool too. Some other things that you don't know how to do yet that you need to be able to do. If you look over here, you should be able to see I have really consistent spacing between all of my images. It's 1 pica between everything. I used 1 pica, and that can be really hard to eyeball. In fact, please don't just eyeball it. What you want to do is create a pica box. This is like a way we use to keep our measurements clean. So we're just going to click over here on our rectangular frame tool. I'm going to draw a box as best I can. That's obviously not a pica, it's way big, right? Remember, a pica is 1/6 of an inch. So I'm going to come up here to my W and my H. I'm going to double click. I'm going to press 1, and that's going to give me a pica for my width. I'm going to press tab, and I'm going to press 1 again, and I have a pica box. The problem with this pica box, if you click away, is it's white and it disappears. So I'm going to click on my pica box, and I'm going to come up here to my fill, and I'm going to make it a color so I can see it. So now when I'm designing, I'm going to use this pica box to make sure everything is that far away from everything else. What's cool about your columns is in between them, they have 1 pica already. So this box will fit perfectly right in here. So that's 1 pica space, so that's nice. What you need to do with this pica box is make sure that everything else is 1 pica away. So that needs to be 1 pica. And actually, if we're looking really closely, which we should be, I'm not quite 1 pica away. It's just barely off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my photo up until it hits that little pica line. Do you see that? And that means this one's going to be off too. So I got to do the same thing over here. Pull my little photo line up until it hits. Oops. Another really great useful tool on InDesign is our rulers up here. If it's not showing, holler at me, I'll come help you. It should be under view. Just kidding. Window somewhere. I can help you if it's not on there. Oh, yep. View rulers. You should have a ruler button if they're not on there. This guy right here, you can click on the numbers and drag down rulers. That'll help keep things consistent. Like you can see this light blue line. Let me zoom in. If you see this light blue line, I pulled one earlier to help me design this page. They turn light blue. They don't print. And if you ever want to get rid of it, you just click on it and then click delete. Let me get this one. There we go. Oh, no. All right, whatever. So those are rulers. They're on both sides, which is really helpful. They'll come in super handy when you start like really getting into design. But play with those today if you can. So we know our pica box. Another thing I want to show you. Hey, yeah. Hold on, Maddie Ward just came in recording.